product or software as a service which would appeal to a whole lot of academicians and people working in academic writing as such. So, Kiran, could you just explain to us how Typeset.io works? Of course, to put things in context, I got caught up with your work because of your guides to OJS, which is Open Journal System. We can talk about that later.
Sure.
Maybe you want to start with Typeset.io?
Yes. Thanks, Frederick, for taking time out for this and giving access to your readers. Yes. So Typeset started this back in 2015 August. So close to 2016 is when I decided to solve this problem for researchers, the productivity problem, especially in formatting research content. So that sounds like a problem which is quite boring, but no researcher wants to end up, scientists want to end up spending hours a day, hours or days just to format a to a journal guidelines. And just to look at how big the problem is, currently close to $1 billion public funds are being wasted in just formatting alone, right? So I faced this problem firsthand when I was doing research back when I was in the university, and I graduated and started this company, and today we have close to 1 million plus researchers using the platform to save time and format the content to any of the 45,000 journal templates that we've onboarded onto the platform. And all the researchers publish close to 35,000 research documents on a monthly basis on our platform. And so apart from just helping researchers to solve the creation piece of the workflow, we also work with a lot of universities, helping them improve the visibility and accessibility to research content. So we are big believers and supporters in open science, ensuring the research content that gets published would help other people to access it without actually paying for those publishers. So no paywall is the way forward. That's how we believe, and especially right now with the open access movement and the COVID pandemic. Just to give you one example, right? Every research paper in COVID-19 is fundamentally free to access for everyone on the internet, and as you mentioned, you also brought up the OJS work that we've been working on. So OJS is an organization which supports publishers with open source software to help them run a peer review process completely, and also a part of the production processes. So we integrated.
To put it simply, anyone can start their own open access journal with this free software, which is not very difficult to maneuver. But you all have written the guides to these and made it even more simpler. And the full software is available there. So any university, any college, any academic center could actually set up their own research journal, which gives you a whole lot of facilities to format and to process all the incoming articles, and right down to the stage of getting it out there, right?
That's correct.
OJS. Okay.
Open Journal Systems, that's the name of it. And they help all the journal chief editors, or probably anyone who wants to start a journal from a small university or even from your house. You could do that with that software. It's pretty powerful, and it automates a lot of the management processes. So we have integrated, we have a deep integration with OJS to solve the formatting problem. So when you combine these two together, any person could run a journal from the beginning to final hosting of that content completely using our technology.
Yeah. So as far as Typeset.io is concerned, the numbers are pretty impressive. The numbers that you all are offering. So how did you all attain these numbers of so many researchers using it, and how exactly does it format? If you want to screen share or explain, that
Sure.
would be fine.
So first, let me actually show you the product itself. Hope you are able to see the
Yeah.
screen now.
Yeah.
Great. So this is the dashboard. As soon as you log in to the platform, you land onto the user dashboard, and what you have here is a templates gallery. So this is the universe of all the journal templates that you could find online. Basically, any journal that you want to submit. So let's say I'm interested in publishing for Elsevier Orbis journal. You could see the aims and guidelines, a couple of metadata, and on the right side, what you see is the formatting guidelines, or probably the the document that they would expect from you. The author document should be formatted in this specific format. So usually this process is pretty tedious. You have two options: either to go to any journal. So let's say you search for Elsevier Orbis journal guidelines, right? So you would come across a big guide put together by Elsevier on how to submit. There's a big checklist around it. So you could either do this manually on Microsoft Word, or you can learn LaTeX and you can write code to do that. But our value proposition is that you don't need to do any of that. All you need to do is simply, if you have a Microsoft Word file, let's say, uh, let me look if probably I have a document. Hmm, not finding that, but yeah, so I will already show you a document which is created on Typeset. So you see here on the left side, let me close the right panel. So what you see here is a full-blown collaborative word processor where you write your research content. And what's interesting is this is fundamentally designed for research. So you could insert sections, subsections. You could insert authors, equations. Any of that research content that you usually use. And what's interesting is that even for equations, you don't need to learn LaTeX or write code to create those equations. Everything is pretty much integrated, and if at all you want to fiddle with some code, you could click LaTeX and it will open up the LaTeX.
Yeah, that can be quite complex. I know because I use licks for some of my typesetting work.
That's
So
correct. So on the left side, you have the outline, all the authors. You could add the authors, all that details. You could add keywords. So it's a full-blown editor for research writing. And what's interesting is, now let's say I want to format my content, my research paper, in, let's say, an IEEE journal, right? All I need to do is click this button, use this format. And what happens on the right side here, there is a panel on the right side that you see here.
right,
If I open it up, you'd see that the content that I've imported and I've started writing, it's getting automatically formatted to the IEEE guidelines.
I see.
So you see this work of formatting to IEEE, it's a bit painful process and it consumes hours and days just for the researcher to do that.
The
So
font size, the layout, the number of columns, and the spacing and everything.
yeah, I mean the entire full-blown typesetting, the figures,
I
captions,
see.
the citations.
I
What's
see.
interesting is you could see the citations are also inbuilt. So if I want to cite any reference, I click this button, it gets automatically cited here. You could see that references. And if you want to edit the reference also, you could edit that reference and fill your own data. And you could import these references if you have data that you could enter manually, or if you want to paste your BibTeX. If you're using any reference library software, you could import that. And if you have unformatted references in Word, you can just copy paste them. So all that stuff is automatically taken care, and when you click refresh, that's when the entire content gets directly formatted. And we don't stop there. We also understand that few authors might want to do some customizations. You could click here. You could change the bibliography style. So there's close to 22,000 bibliography styles on the platform. You could click any of that. Change the layouts again if you want to customize it. And what's interesting is we have a direct integration with Turnitin, so you could also do a plagiarism check, originality check of your content. You could do that, and the system does not even take your content and leave you nowhere. I mean, you could exit using the platform. Basically, you could download in PDF, docx, LaTeX, EPUB, any of that, and that's the main motivation for us to even integrate with OJS, because usually any author or any librarian or any editor in chief wants to run a journal, they usually end up dealing with this typesetting and converting that content to HTML, EPUB, and all the other export systems. So we've automated that entire process, and you could share the content. So I mean, just that's probably a quick overview of the software and how it works.
It must have taken a large number of sleepless nights to create this, no?
Yes, that's correct. And one of the code problems is that all the journal guidelines keep changing, and it's very hard to keep track of it and also automate that entire process. So it's been a while, but we've been getting a lot of traction. Authors are loving it. And majority of our user growth has been word of mouth. Some person uses it, they tell it to some other colleague in a lab, professor, and that's how the platform grew so far.
Basic product is free, and the cost and the priced one is how much?
So you could see that right on the website. It's on typeset .io/pricing. So the basic product is free for sure, but if you exceed a certain requirements like number of words that you exceed, or if you need a plagiarism detection, so there is a monthly and a yearly plan. If you subscribe for an yearly plan, it's going to cost you $8 per month. That's how we are priced now.
Interesting. And what's the response been so far?
Response has been amazing. So the platform, that's why it's been pretty organically growing. We don't spend any marketing budget or run ads, but even though we don't do that, we get a lot of these authors, organically searching and finding out about us on blogs or probably word of mouth.
And this has been up since?
It's been up since 2016,
I see.
but the 2016 platform was a bare bones. We could probably do only a few things there, but over time, because of the users usage and more
Yeah.
users paying, we were able to support and actually improve that product.
In case you're wondering, I'm talking to Saikiran, who's telling us about his products, which his IT and software products, online software products, which are very useful to researchers as a whole. The last thing, Saikiran, if you could just tell us a little bit about your OJS guides. I mean, OJS is a superb platform, and I've seen it before, and I was looking at it as a possibility of starting something, not myself, but in for someone else and things like that. But
Correct.
yeah, so where do your guides come in? And there are three so far. Will there be more?
Yes, there will be more. And so, just to give you some context, right? So, what we've seen is that a lot of users who use OJS and who wants to automate their processes, they have a lot of questions. How to do this? How do I solve this technical issue? How do I use that? Even though OJS put together, OJS itself has a guide, but we've created, the comprehensive one, looking at questions, interviewing a lot of journal editors, what kind of problems they face, and how can we actually communicate and educate this community better. So for that reason, we've created so far three chapters in OJS, specifically dealing with all kinds of activities that you would actually need using OJS, and we are doubling down on that. The so far the interest has been pretty good from the community. The community is accepting it pretty well. We've been getting a lot of faculty, reaching out to us and asking for more guides. So we have one OJS guide right there, and we also have a LaTeX guide that we've also put together. Everyone could access that. I'll send you the link, Frederick. Maybe you could
Yeah,
post that.
yeah, yeah, sure.
And we have our own self-publishing platform where we publish all our resources. You could find that on typeset.io/resources, uh, and that would help you get to speed with respect to what we are up to.
So what next from here?
So next, we are working on a couple of interesting problems. I mean, we are not only, as I've mentioned, we spoke a lot about Typeset, which is around creation workflow. Right now, we are building a full stack workflow for researchers, all the way from discovery, creation, collaboration, publishing, everything built into one platform. So it's going to help authors to discover papers faster, find collaborators faster, write, self-publish, and also it's going to help institutions to improve their research output. So we are already working with dozen plus universities and seen a very good impact with respect to significant improvement in their visibility of research publications. So we help these universities um, reach more readership, basically help their papers rank on the top results of Google and Google Scholar, specifically pertaining to the right audience, and also help improve the accessibility. Let's assume a university X has 40,000 papers. usually we find close to 5 to 10,000 papers of that institution could be openly shared. The problem is that none of them know about the copyrights, which are usually lied in those publisher websites, and no one wants to read. So we are solving that problem. We are simplifying those copyrights, and we are providing that as a technology to the institutions. So institutions, all they need to do is pretty simply give us the data, and we would automatically get the preprints from the authors and make that content freely available on the internet.
And positively, the last question, there is a bit of negativism towards open access journals and publishing.
Correct.
Because of my background, this is obviously not a view I agree with. But
Correct.
Bial's list and directory of predatory journals and all these kind of things. I feel the issue is mixed up between running a good journal and the way it is run.
Correct.
My personal view is that open access is the way for countries like India to and much of the so-called third world, global south, to get access to their own communications. What's your feeling on this? Do you think that open access offers a good route, or
Uh, So just to follow up on that, right? I mean, open access and open science, open data, all. I mean, this is the future of scholarly communication, and this is how it's going to be. The problem, for sure, that you've pointed out is very relevant, and especially with any change, there's going to be a couple of players who are trying to take advantage of it, and that's what we have been seeing so far since the last 5 years, where a lot of new, smaller, predatory open access journals have showed up, and in promise of getting those papers published without any proper peer review or editorial processes. And it definitely impacts science, definitely. But what's happening right now is there's a huge community effort from the entire scholarly community to stop those activities, and we've already seen Bale's list, and every author now is being aware of, hey, whether is this a predatory journal or not. So there's going to be a lot of checks and technology in place to help authors to create that awareness. But once that's all for, you would see a lot of content that gets opened for free. And a lot of publishers are also moving to open access, right? I mean, Elsevier today is the biggest open access publisher out there. And they also understand the value of it, and they're changing their business models slowly but steadily, and pretty aggressively, to move away from charging authors uh, selling content, but to actually build products to actually help save the life of an author and save time of an author. And in a way, that's how the way forward.
thanks a ton for your time, Saikiran. I really found this useful and look forward to hearing more about your work. I will definitely focus on it and do my bit to build awareness about it. Thanks so much for your time.
A lot, Frederick, for your time, and thank you, everyone. Um, and I mean, the links are right there on the right side, and feel free to reach out to us if anyone wants to, start their own journal or improve visibility, or
Any contact that you'd like to mention?
yeah, you could just
Yeah.
email to sai@typeset.io. That's my personal email ID. I'm pretty much active. I would answer to any of your queries there. Thank you.
Thanks a ton for that.
Thank you, Frederick. Take care. Have a good day.